Okay, so the one thing I forgot to check out before I get this first game here, Polestar, before I start on it, is that I need to check and make sure my buttons are laid out exactly like a real AES arcade stick. That's a big part of what I'm doing here. And that also means no turbo fire button, and I think that's really going to be the issue with this first game. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's awesome. I don't know. Maybe it'll be great. Give me just a second here to get the stick set up. And so I'm going to have to take the picture away for a second so you don't see ugly emulator nonsense. Yeah. My arcade stick's kind of full-sized compared to the one that actually comes with an AES, so I'm almost getting a more MVS-like experience in that way. But I got the 4 buttons upwards in an arc from X, square, triangle, R1 is what it should be. It's probably resorted to defaults. Yeah, it has. Clear. B. C. Let that select instead of coin since we're doing ABS mode. Square. Make R1 into D. Square, square, square. Got a few other things here, hang on. I really like L2 should be coin, just in case something required coin at some point. I'd like to have these settings saved. I'll see if I can figure that out after one of these, maybe. I don't know, I'm pretty lazy. Mostly just experimenting with controls here to make them, for the temporary purposes of the stream, exactly the same as the real hardware. Much to my frustration here. Let's see if there's any options for a turbo fire button. No, there's a difficulty option and a sound test, and that's all you get. And it is a 2-button game. With a charge shot feature. And that's to change the directions that your options fire in. Which is probably good reasons to do, but I probably won't have a very good grip on. There's a stage selector, that's kind of interesting. I'm glad I left the mic on. I didn't mean to, but I am glad that you have to hear me mash this button. This is the frustration of it. This is This is why I would rather just play on an emulator. Now, there might be some other solutions to this, kind of. I know that 8BitDo sells some Neo Geo controllers that have TurboFire, and you got to use authentic Neo Geo controllers. Yet another disadvantage with having an AES as opposed to a computer. You can't just use any USB controller. You might be able to get an adapter. I don't know. And the 8BitDo controllers do have some sort of TurboFire, but I think it might be more like a toggle. And that's the whole thing about a game like this and most R-Type games made for console from 3 on have this feature, an independent TurboFire button. You just want to have a separate button that's assigned to turbo. And you can't freaking do that when you're playing on an AES with real hardware. It's just not an option. You got to do this instead. You got to mash. Which, I'm too old for that shit, man. My hands can't handle it. I type all day at work. I don't want to come home and fucking mash on a button as hard as I can constantly. Just let me have a TurboFire button. Jesus. But we're going to play 2 shooters today, and what's really interesting is that the other one does have a TurboFire button, and it also has a charge shot. It has an independent TurboFire button as an option, perhaps in AES mode only. I think it's maybe not an option in the MVS, but we'll look at that when I get to it. It's not the worst thing in the world because it's still Polestar and it's still a kick-ass game, but different people are going to have different tolerances for mashing on the button, and the amount of time I'd want to spend playing a game where I have to mash on the button is going to go way, way down. It's going to be like, hey, let's play a couple rounds of this instead of, hey, let's play this for a couple hours, which is what I often do with shooters. But depending on the shooter, I can be entertained from anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 hours sometimes even. And you'll see that in my streams. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Because, yeah, I'm going to get, like, real tired after this, like, 20 minutes or so. Maybe 40 minutes if I were to pace it out, I would think. We'll see, though. It's work. It's work for your hands. You probably get limited continues too here, but I do not care about that. That's not important to me. It's not really, I don't see that as a downside. I don't think playing this game in AES mode is any worse than playing it in NVS mode, or really any better. It barely makes any difference at all. But that's an interesting thing too, which I've touched on a little bit. I think that the fighting games I like better in AES mode. You only get like 4 credits. That's going to bother some people. I don't care. I usually never play more than 1 or 2 credit against the CPU, and then if I die after that, I usually would rather just start over and switch characters and fight easier guys again. But like, it's got a proper versus mode, training, single fighter modes, and the King of Fighters games. There's a bunch of reasons to play the AES mode as opposed to MVS. And then we get the exact opposite with a few games. Metal Slug, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but it is censored and you don't get the blood, at least in the US region. Samurai Showdown 5 Special, we talked about a little bit when I streamed it. It had a lot of problems with the AES version, which were widely complained about when it was released back in 2004, 2005. Because there was a bunch of censorship in the AES version, and there were things that were glitchy, and the practice mode didn't work right, and some other stuff. So hopefully they address some of that when they re-release it. If they release the exact same cartridge of Samurai Showdown 5 Special, that might have enough problems to where a lot of you would want to skip it. I mean, the MVS version is objectively better, and that's the only fighting game where I feel like that's the case. But yeah, other stuff, it doesn't matter. You know, I think something like Shock Troopers playing with 4 credits is about perfect. Metal Slug's about perfect with 4 credits. I mean, it's fine. I'm sure Magician Lord's going to be great. We'll check that out here in a little while. But yeah, you should know that you're getting a slightly different experience depending on which hardware you're playing off of. Anyway, I'm going to shut up this time and we can enjoy the music and sound effects of Polestar, which I'm going to turn up a little bit, I think, as well. Yeah, this game's awesome. And this isn't the first time I've streamed Polestar, and it won't be the last time I've streamed Polestar. However, it will be both the first and last time I ever stream it without a damn turbo fire button because it sucks. And I think that's something you guys need to be warned about. Just knowing what this is going to be like playing it on your AES. Um, it's not like pure hell or anything, but it sure does take a lot away from it for me. I mean, it just turns something fun into work basically, which is not super cool. Not my favorite thing in the world. Um, but I think there's an argument to be made. Well, oh, you're better off just using the one button because you're timing your shots better when you're not charging, and it keeps you actively using charge more and stuff like that. But I don't know that that's true. And I certainly, it's not worth the trade-off in terms of wear and tear on the hand. I don't think. Um, when you're using an independent turbo fire button, if you press and hold down on the non-turbo fire button at the same time, so you don't even have to let off the other one, especially if you're using like a pad and you put one of them on a bumper or a trigger button and then you're pushing a face button with it, it's super easy to do and it's like a better way to play. So just saying. Or even on a actually it works great on an arcade stick with two fat buttons that are kind of angled above each other, like Square and X are here, where you can just like hold down on one. You're holding down on one and push the other. I played Dodonpachi a lot of times that way too, because it has the same kind of charge versus tap thing that you both have to use. But again, later iterations of that always include a turbo fire button as well. So not having a turbo fire button sucks. Also, interesting change in the art style here with the anime stuff, but like everything else being very pre-rendered. It, it doesn't clash that much. I think it's kind of cool though. It's like everything that's not the people is CG. It's anime people in a CG world. Um, this game has a sort of semi-sequel called Blazing Star, which I love. It's not unlike this game. It's not really an R-Type clone. Like this game's very obviously an R-Type clone, but Blazing Star is like very much more its own thing, and I actually think it's really cool. Really good chance that if they do a second batch of 10 games, that Blazing Star will be in it. It's that game and Baseball Stars 2 are pretty much on everybody's list for a reason. I think Sengoku is another one that everybody wants to see, and I personally think Nom 75 needs to be re-released because it was also one of the pack-ins and is a really good classic title they should include. And if they're looking for classic older Neo Geo games, I think Cyberlip would be a pretty solid choice too. But of course, they're going to do Metal Slug X because you got Metal Slug, you know, and they'll probably just skip 2. Um, so we have a pretty good idea, I think, of what the next batch of games could look like, just based off what we've gotten already and what people want. All right, I'm going to give this another go here, and I do a little better each time. Another thing that's first and last time here is playing this game without practice. I'm much better now about practicing games before I play them. I will be playing a shooter tomorrow called Nexer for PC Engine CD-ROM. I've been practicing it, but it's such a bitch of a game that I sometimes don't make it past the first level anyway. And sometimes I can make it to the end of the third, so it just depends. And you'll see what a frustrating little game it is when I play it. And then the other thing I'm practicing right now is Batman for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I am just loving every second of that. I forgot how good that game was. It's really good. I did dramatically worse that time. I think that's going to be the way it goes with that Turbo Fire also. I'm just going to do like way, way worse each time I play until my hand is completely exhausted and I can't play it worth crap. It's almost like the reverse of playing it with just having a separate Turbo Fire button. Where I'm going to get better from the practice. Instead, I just get worse from fatigue. Does anyone know if the arcade archives versions of these games support TurboFire? Because it's really funny to think they probably do, or at the very least, they probably let you map the fire button to more than one button. And if you have a controller with a physical switch, you can make one of them into a TurboFire button. So that's pretty funny because that's what, like an $8 version of the game you can probably get for $4 when it's on sale, or you can pay $90 to play it on a cartridge and just absolutely kill your hand the way I'm killing my hand right now. I don't know. Just, I think it's funny that the far cheaper experience is going to be the far better playing one, kind of. At least in my opinion. I mean, maybe TurboFire might not be as big of a deal to other people, especially if you're not old like me. But this is killing my hand. I need like a short break here. All right, let's give it at least one more good go before I move on to another game. If I do poorly, I'll, if it's a short one, I'll give it some more tries, but we'll see here. But yeah, I really like this game though. This is something again, like I said, I'll come back to and put some real practice into it now. I'll let the demo run. So this is what I consider to be the black label era of this channel, where I now practice games, with the exception being the occasional variety stream, like I'm doing with this Neo Geo thing. I didn't have anything practiced up yet. It was a big part of why I did a variety stream. And that'll be the case too. Like I'll go back and do like the Doom challenge or the Castlevania challenge or something like that when I haven't been practicing anything else long enough to do a stream of it. But most games are going to get at least a good week of when I have a free time here and there to play games for like 30 minutes outside of my nightly Diablo or Call of Duty session with my friends during the week. If it's just like short time to play video games here and there, which comes up every once in a while, or I'll play for like half an hour before bed. I'll just be practicing whatever action game I'm going to play on the weekend, and then you'll get to see at least a somewhat more polished performance of it, hopefully. And it's fun too. I've been really getting into Nexer, even though it's been kicking my ass, and I've really been getting into Batman, and there's a bunch of other stuff I want to do. And there's a lot of games that I avoided before because I figured that they would require more practice. Like Batman's a good example of that. But it's totally worth it. It's worth putting just a little time into figuring out how to play the game again, and then we'll have a fun stream because those are some good games. I think that's why I haven't been able to play certain things like Desert Strike and eSWAT and some of these other games that like Maybe they're not great the very second you pick them up, but if you spent some time and practiced them for a minute, you'd have some appreciation for them. You know what I mean? So, um, but yeah, here we go again with Polestar. That's the thing about Neo Geo games, though. They are what they look like, and you'll immediately understand how to play all of them. So this is our type, except for it's called Polestar, and it's a little bit different and fancier. Here we go. Anyway, that's Polestar. Polestar's awesome. It's really fun. This is a really good shooter. I mean, yeah, it's just R-Type, but like R-Type's awesome. This is a really good take on it. Great graphics, great controls, fun bosses, enemies look cool. Everything's really nicely worked in an R-Type 2 style, you know, kind of with its own little CG and anime flair here. Uh, Again, I don't find it as cool or as interesting as its somewhat successor Blazing Star, but but for people who like a more old school, like tight shooter, I think I could see, I think preferring this one is valid. I'll say that you know they're both very good games in their own right, and they're different. This one's very traditional, very R-Type like, and challenging and tight spaces, careful movement, that kind of stuff. Blazing Star is a little more Thunder Force like or something. It's wilder and faster. You continue from where you die. It's a little more like most modern shooters, but it's got its own vibe to it. You know, it's got charge shots and stuff like that. They're its own thing. So, very cool game. Anyway, what's next? Next up, we're going to do. I think that these are in the order that they were shown in the trailer. That's what I was going for, at least. So next up's another shooter, but not like just any shooter. It's a very strange puzzle-like shooter, competitive shooter. It's a competitive shooter. I mean, not like a versus shooter, but like a shmup, like a competitive PVE shmup. That's so hard to describe. It's split screen vertical, and you both shoot against patterns of enemies. And whenever you destroy some in a combo, it sends more enemies over to the other player's side. It's sort of like sending bricks, and you know, in like a Tetris style game. And it's called Twinkle Star Sprites. So I have a few things to say about it as well. Um, and it's really different from everything else. And also, interestingly enough, does not have this turbo fire problem. It uses a charge shot. It's a game that's very much about doing charge shots, but the AES version has an option for an independent turbo fire button, like this game so desperately needs. Also, who knows? You know, maybe it'll get one. We don't know that you're getting the exact same software that was originally published. Maybe SNK and PlayOn will address some of these issues, and I think that this is one where they could really step in and do something. But I think that the problems with Samurai Showdown 5 Special as an AES cartridge might be more serious, so they might want to address that as well. Anyway, I'll be back in just a minute, and we'll play Twinkle Star Sprites. Alright, this is Twinkle Star Sprites. So one quick note about this, and the AES version of this does seem good. But and generally speaking, Saturn versions of AES games are worse. Not a lot worse, but they usually require the 1 meg RAM cartridge, which gives it 3 megabytes of memory, which is 1 megabyte short of the Neo Geo CD. But they usually manage to come out about even with Neo Geo CD, pretty close to it. Maybe a little less animation, but a little better load times or something. This game, I think, is one of the few that's actually maybe considered better on Saturn. I think it has extra features. Maybe, better music and some extra options and modes and stuff. But it is cool on AES, especially since, look at this shit. Auto shot? Well, hell yeah, we want auto shot as an option. Why wouldn't you want that, man? Why wouldn't you want it? I just don't get it. I mean, yeah, you're going to want to use charge shot, but you're going to want to use auto shot also. Also, I have some just general criticisms about the gameplay here, and I'm also really terrible at this game. Like, I don't get it, maybe. I'm just really, really bad at it. But we'll see. I think that there's some really super cool underlying ideas here. I think the game concept is excellent. I just think that as the shooter that they put into it is too simple and not. I would rather see like a full blown, like Raiden-like take on something like this, but that's just me, maybe. I don't know. This is more of a cotton kind of thing. I don't know what these different modes are either. Wait, what's this? That's not what I wanted. Hang on. I chose the wrong option. Is there a way out of it? Oh, I don't want that either. Unibias has some weird stuff. Oh, there's a soft reboot system now. Well, that's cool. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, so you can soft reboot with start and select. Oh, I'm terrible at this. I should turn the difficulty all the way down. Of course, gotta do story mode, because why not? Well, I guess it's easy on easy. Let's see how quick it escalates here. Yeah, so I went from basically instantly winning the first round to losing and not even understanding why on the second. I got lucky there at the end because I was about to die as well. That was a harder match. This is a pretty cool game. It's interesting that this one has Turbo Fire but doesn't need it nearly as much as Polestar does, but it's there, you know what I mean? But this game is like so heavily reliant on a charge shot. Like there's so many big enemies, and blowing up the big enemies blows up the small ones, so you just want to focus on charge shotting big enemies strategically when they're close to small enemies. That's almost what the entire game's about. It is kind of a shooter puzzle in a way, like Ikaruga or Quarth or something. I don't know. It's in that ballpark, I guess. I got extremely lucky there. That's awesome. Although I got this on the easiest difficulty too. This is a good game. I think to have fun with it, you'd really have to dial in that difficulty and get it just right. And I think it's probably a lot better two-player. And I think that probably a lot of what I'm saying would also apply to Windjammers, which I think would be a good analog to this to release for if they do a second batch of games. I know that Windjammers is like Data East or something, right? But it's got an active license holder, whatever it is, because I'm pretty sure it's on Arcade Archives. So it really should be possible to get a AES re-release of that as well. I'll have to check out the Saturn version at some point, though. I'm curious about that now. But I would love it if somebody tried a traditional, like, Raiden style shmup in this style that was competitive, and you like throw stuff at the other player's game. You basically affect the handicapping of the other player's side depending on your performance. I think that could be really cool, and I think with widescreen gaming, it actually might work out really well. You can give people a almost like 4-3 like experience on each side, or a little more vertical. You know, have a little bit of stat info between the screens and stuff. I think that there's a lot of possibility for that in a modern game. Modern hardware could throw enough stuff on each side to even do like a cave style shooter or a Dodonpachi style shooter on each side or something. That would be really cool, I think. A competitive Dodonpachi? Oh man. The only problem with that is I would never find anyone to play it in real life. But if such a thing did exist, I would go on Fightcade to play that for sure. For sure. Or if it was a modern game, yeah, I mean, just implement like a proper online. But I don't know if it's too niche. Because I don't hear people talk about this game a whole lot, but when it is brought up, it is in a very positive context. People seem to really like it. All the YouTube reviews and such that I've ever seen discuss it seem to really like it. So I'm going to give it another go in the non-story mode, which I think is a little more arcade-like. Maybe even bump up the difficulty a notch. You know, that was a pretty easy go, although really odd. Like sometimes it'd be really easy and sometimes really hard. It's just odd to get a feel of. Oh yeah, and this is an ADK developed game. I think SNK probably fully absorbed ADK at some point, but obviously that's a third party published with SNK all throughout, even from very early in the Neo Geo's life, and maybe even Magician Lord. Certainly Ninja Warriors. Anyway, let's go ahead and do some more Twinkle Star sprites in the character mode. Yeah, I do not like this character. Her thing is that she can shoot in other directions to the side or behind you. You can see from the way the way this game plays, that's a fairly useless skill. It's not really something that ever came in handy for me. Certainly not easy for me to even remember how to do. But like, even if I did, it's just a mess. I wonder if they have independent high score tables for character and story mode. I forgot that they were even asking me to enter my high score. I'd like to try another character though. Somebody with a more powerful, wider, straightforward shot seems like they would always be the best. Lost on the first level. That's amazing. Around here somewhere. Oh man, that's some real English. I'm glad I took that bastard out quick because they attack from behind, which is really frustrating. That's like the one time that the crystal character, I guess, is good. The crystal fairies can shoot backwards. That's, you have to like be moving backwards to do it, so it's still tricky. Well, now that I've spent a little time with Twinkle Star Sprites, I actually see the hype behind this one. This is one I always, every time I fired it up, I'm like, yeah, it's a competitive shooter, but the shooting seems kind of lame. But like, it's really not. It's just its own little thing. It's different, and it's surprisingly addictive. I do wish we've seen. I wish we could have seen more competitive shmups made. I wish that was a thing, you know. Um, there might be like a racing style one that I'm trying to think of, but it's really not very common. There's certainly not a lot of other games like this, and most games that have this kind of split screen, send enemies to the other side type setup are puzzle games. This is clearly inspired by puzzle games. It's clearly influenced by something like Puyo Puyo, and you know, that's cool though. I think it's a really interesting little game. I think I'm going to give it one more go before we move on to another interesting but much older game that's I think very cool. So let's check out one more character in the character mode. Character mode is where you're really gonna spend your time after you play through the little story. It's got like a lot of characters to choose from, and they're quite different, so it's pretty cool. The translation work here also, I'm just gonna say, is absolutely terrible. There's so many misspelled words and poor grammar and just things that just don't translate well at all. It just seems like a really sloppy job in that regard. And who knows if that'll be addressed in an updated re-release too. Like, who knows if they'll change that or keep it exactly the same, you know? No, that's an SNK boss right there. I never even heard her. I never even heard her. I played really well and like did some huge attacks with like a 12 combo perfect at the beginning of one of those. And it didn't matter because she wasn't gonna get hit by it. Because she just wasn't gonna get hit by it. She wasn't gonna get hit by anything. Just seems like theft. But you know, it's on the AES version, not the NVS. Nobody's getting paid for killing me off for no damn reason. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I actually really like this game. I've never really spent time with it until right now, and I think it's rad. And I think you should play it. I think you should, if this looks in any way interesting to you at all, give it a shot. And if you play shmups or puzzle game type stuff, kind of, and you think maybe this isn't your thing, it is actually probably. Give it a shot. You'll be really surprised. If you're a traditional shooter player like me, stick with it for a minute. Like you gotta stick with it for a minute to get its feel. But it is actually a good shooter and a good puzzle game, kind of, and a good competitive game. And I bet it's super fun two-player. So yeah, a lot of good stuff to say there about Twinkle Star Sprites. That's a solid 8 out of 10. Fun game that I've never really played. So that's Neo Geo is the gift that keeps on giving. I'll be back in just a minute and we'll play the first Neo Geo game I ever played. Yeah, this is an 80K game. This is the first Neo Geo game I ever played. So when Neo Geo rolled into town, I heard about it at school. People said that the arcade that was over by the movie theater had it, and they were like, "Oh, this is going to be the next big console, man. It's going to be better than the TurboGrafx and Genesis even." Um, and they have it like as an arcade machine too, and you can play 4 games on it. So I went down there and they had, I want to say it was Magician Lord. Uh, so it was Magician Lord, Nom 75, Ninja Combat, and Top Players Golf. And Ninja Combat was the game I was super duper interested in because I liked beat 'em ups. And Top Players Golf was the only one of the 3 I did not play. But for whatever reason, I played Magician Lord first, probably because the graphics on it looks so incredible, and it also is very much my kind of thing. It's sort of as you can see, sort of a Ghouls and Ghosts type, slower paced action platform run and gun type game. Um, and the earlier levels, like this is the first level, tend to look the most incredible in this. It's very much designed like an arcade game to grab your attention with crazy stuff, and then get into more like repetitive dungeon graphics later in the game. But quite a few cool bits throughout, some voices and stuff. It was just really obviously way more impressive than the mostly 8-bit games we were playing in 1989. Maybe I played this in 1990. I probably played it in 90. It was probably after I got my Genesis, but I don't remember when Neo Geo rolled into town, but it was really early on. So it was either 89 or 90. Um, and yeah, so this game and Ninja Lord or Ninja Combat got the most attention from me. I did like Nom 75. I like it even more now. I kind of like that style of I don't know. I call them 2D third person shooters. I mean, I think that's pretty much what it is. You could call it a Cabal clone if you want. I think Cabal might be the earliest example of that. But yeah, games like the Rambo arcade game and Dynamite Duke and stuff like that. I think Nom 75 is a particularly good one actually. It's probably my second favorite one behind Riot. Anyway, here we go. Let's play some Magician Lord. There's no options screen or anything. This is AES though, right? Yeah, it's got a pause button. There's no option screen.
What imprudence, you human beings! Face your trial by God.
I was just gonna say, I think they might give you unlimited continues in this version, but I don't really know how it works. It doesn't seem like there's a credit display anywhere on the screen. So most AES games limit you to 4 credits, but this is really early, and there may have not been a standard or something. So I might just play through it for a while until I feel kind of like I'm stuck. I may start over. I'll see. I'm gonna spend some time with this game though, I think, because I like it pretty well. So. And we only have one game left after this, and I don't think it's one that I'm going to enjoy very much, to be honest. So we'll see how it goes, though. Like, that's maddening right there. Whatever was going on with that last enemy. That's just awful. The amount of health these particular teleporting enemies have is also extremely frustrating. This is truly this sucks. This sucks.
I'm destined just to die.
It seems like the bosses take a whole lot of damage, but all the damage is cumulative. I would have spent a lot of money by now, which is why this makes for such a poor arcade game. Although, I don't know. It's probably something you can absolutely memorize the hell out of. nothing like spending like $2 to be the boss, huh? I think this is the last level, and I think that actually on the AES they do punish you and like set you back, whereas on the MVS you can buy your way through it. I'm not sure the details on that, but I guess we'll figure it out as we go here. I was trying to figure out if there's somewhere different to go there, some reason you'd want to go in here at all. I don't think there is. I think this is just a trap room that sucks. The reason to go in there is the people who made the arcade game want your money. Trapped. You persistent guy. Yeah, I think I may have gotten it backwards. I think it may be the AES version that just lets you fully free play through. I don't know though. I mean, obviously there's not a credit limit. I thought that was the last level, and I was obviously wrong about that too. But I felt like at least at that level on the MGS, they like start forcing you to reset. This like doesn't even look familiar to me, honestly. I don't know. I'm kind of interested now. underground. Yes, I realize I'm making the same mistakes over and over. So that just loops up there, I can see. I think this also just loops, so going up and down is both just a trap. Yeah. Yeah, this part all looks the same, and I don't get it, so I'm just getting bored really fast here. Like I don't know what to do, and I don't really see what to do different since it all looks the same. I don't know or care anymore about how to progress in this. Not to give it raps. Probably won't continue next time I die. Yeah, it just loops forever, and I don't understand it or care. I just, so this game was like nostalgia to see, but it's not really nostalgia to play. It doesn't play all that well. I gotta say, as a kid, I don't think I realized this. I don't think I understood this, but I really like was better off having like a Sega Genesis and a and then eventually a Super Nintendo, both of which I got combined for less than the cost of a Neo Geo and a game for sure. Even the best deal I could have found. I mean, this was really impressive looking, but at the same time, basically within 6 months of this, probably playing this, I don't know on which side. I played Revenge of Shinobi. I played Ghouls and Ghosts. And those are just better games. I mean, they're just more fun to play. This is designed to take money away from a person, not to be like a balanced. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like it's mostly scammy. You know what I mean? Like, you die, and then you die some more, and it's like bosses who just jump directly on you while you have a character who's extremely slow. Uh, Meh. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I do like the fact that you're a wizard, and I think it's cool that you transform into other characters. But I'm gonna switch it over to Overtop, which is our last game here that we're gonna look at. Um, well, I'll talk about it once I fire it up. Give me just a second here. It'll take me a couple minutes, and I'll get the game switched. Alright, so this is a racing game. It is not a 3D racing game, 3D view. There's only one 3D view racing game on the Neo Geo. It's a motorcycle game called Riding Hero, as far as I know. And it's a really bland take on Hang On that's not as good as Hang On. There are several, however, of these like overhead rally racing games, which is not a genre that I dislike. There's like 2 or 3 of these on the Neo Geo, and I don't know if this is one of the better ones or the worst ones, but I think even the best of them is really mediocre. Like, really mediocre. And it's not that I dislike the genre or anything. I'm very much a racing game guy, and it doesn't have to be a 3D view. I can name dozens of isometric racing games. Well, maybe not dozens, but a half dozen really great ones, you know, like RC Pro-Am and Rock and Roll Racing and stuff like that. But I don't think anything on the Neo Geo is like that. I don't think Overtop is going to compare to something like um, Super Sprint, even, you know, or Off-Road, Super Off-Road, or any of that stuff. I mean, those are all just probably more fun than this, but I'll give it a shot. I don't want to be too negative on it before playing it again, because it's not like I've played it in 20 years or whatever. So we'll see how it goes. I didn't think I'd think much of Twinkle Star Sprites before I started playing it, and I loved the hell out of it, so who knows? Might have a really good time here. We'll see. Oh, and another, I just wanted to point out, really good example of these, and maybe one I'll stream. There's something like Dirt Fox from Namco. That's like a way better game. Because it uses like rotation and scaling, and I know there's no rotation, but I think there's scaling that's not really being used here. That would probably make the gameplay a little better if it zoomed in and out. In fact, Dirt Fox is pretty impressive, though. And I mean, with the screen rotation and the scaling effects and the analog controls and stuff, it's just an overall much better overhead rally racing experience than I think you can get on Neo Geo. But here we go. Give this a shot anyway. It's called Overtop, which is also a kind of dumb sounding name, but maybe it's a terminology from the sport. I don't know. So whatever. Let's check it out. Oh, let's make this easy too, because God, I'm sure I'm gonna be terrible at it. So yeah, I don't hate this. Actually, it's better than I maybe gave it credit for. It's still not as good as Dirt Fox, like I was talking about, or something like RC Pro Am. But like, it's pretty solid. I don't like playing it with a stick very much. So if you get an AES, your option is either going to be the stick or it's going to be the Neo Geo CD type controller, which I've never used. It's a little micro switch thumbstick. I would imagine that'd work really well for this though. But if I went back to this, and I could definitely see myself doing it. I mean, it's really not that bad. I would probably play it with just a regular D-pad. I think it'd be more fun. Um, wouldn't pay $90 for it. There's only one type of person who will probably, and that's completionists who want to collect the complete set. Um, Definitely not a top pick. There's so many other games that could have released in its place. Ones that I think really would have been good in place of this one would have been Nom 75 or Baseball Stars 2 or something like that. I don't know. But if you feel like you have to have a racing game, this is probably. I think that this is the better. Like I said, I think there is another rally game. I can't remember what it's called though. Maybe like Power or something. I don't remember. But it also plays like this. I think it's worse than this, if I remember correctly. And then you've got Riding Hero, which I also would say is probably worse than this. It's boring. So, I guess for a racing game, this is about as good as they're going to do. I'll give it another go here. We'll try a different vehicle and see how it works out. Probably leave the difficulty on easy since I came in third. But I was able to complete it, so I don't know. Should I bump it up to normal? I don't know. It's a quick playthrough. We'll see how it goes. Wow, this Ferrari F350 is not good on dirt. Who would have imagined that? That's absolutely insane. I did so much worse with that car the entire time and got a worse overall time and just blasted past everybody at the very end because it's fast on asphalt. That's really funny. Well, this seems like the perfect place to wrap it up then, and give my thoughts about the games they chose and the experience of what it would be like playing it on the 4-button arcade stick, at least, through these games in AES mode for every game. So, first of all, it's a pretty good selection of games. I think that this is one of the weakest titles they chose, and it's not even like a terrible game. It's just at $90 a pop, you'd think they would all be solid gold. You know what I mean? It's something you'd really want to display in your collection if you're not a completionist who's going to buy every single thing anyway. Of the fighting games, I enjoyed King of Fighters 2002 the most. I wish they'd put in Last Blade or Last Blade 2 because I prefer those maybe to anything that they picked. Those are my favorite fighters on the Neo Geo. I wish they had given like something truly old school though, and out of that I would have wanted Fatal Fury Special. I kind of wish they'd just gone with an older Samurai Showdown game also, maybe. I don't know if I like 5 that much. But Twinkle Star Sprites was a good surprise. Shock Troopers was extremely fun to go back and play again. Magician Lord was surprisingly a lot less fun than I remembered it. I mean, it's just meh. But, I mean, it's also like a classic. I could see for nostalgia reasons and it being like the packing and stuff, a lot of people are going to want to get that one. Polestar's fantastic, but not having a turbo fire, an independent turbo fire that you can use in addition to the charge button, is really crappy. And there's probably a lot of cheaper and better ways you can play Polestar and have that option. So I don't know about that either. I think the AES's value, a lot of it lies in people who already have a collection but want a console to actually play those on. Or people who have a CRT and want to experience Neo Geo with its original display. And, you know, the actual display quality is yet to be seen, but hopefully everything will be cool there for people who throw down the big bucks for some Neo Geo stuff. And I might revisit this concept, like doing the games that I think they should re-release, or just some other games on Neo Geo that I want to look at. There's always time for some Neo Geo because they're fun little arcade games. So thanks for checking it out. And if you haven't watched it, I did the first, 3 games in my part 1 and 3 games in part 2 as well. So check those out.